What was that? You said aqua blooms?
Algal blooms.
Algal blooms. What's that?
So essentially, there's like high nutrient runoffs that actually take place. So if you think about a farm or something like that, they're dumping a lot of pesticides and fertilizers and things like that to help grow, commercially grow crops. But you're going to have runoff. Just like if you go and look at the next time you see a sprinkler system running at your neighbor's house, check the street and just see all that extra water that's just running off. Now imagine all of that runoff now has some type of nutrient dense pesticide or just high nutrient runoff that's taking place, and that's got to go somewhere. Like all our water is connected and it all ends up somewhere. For us here in the Midwest, a lot of that water ends up in the Great Lakes, and what ends up happening is this causes a disruption in the ecosystem, and now we're starting to see these really detrimental algal blooms. So you've probably seen things like red tide down in Florida and stuff like that. Pretty much the same thing, just different species and different types here. And what people actually don't know is that, these are crippling for waterside businesses in touristy type of areas all throughout the Midwest, where we have these beautiful Great Lakes, and all of a sudden you get this algal bloom, and people can't go swimming, people can't go fishing, people don't want to visit it anymore. And now you throw in something like with COVID and travel and tourism. I mean, we're feeling it right now. 50% of our business in the summer is hotels, hospitality, travel, and tourism. Like, we're feeling it here as a business. I can't even imagine in like a touristy type town what's going on right now, because people just aren't visiting. Now we're getting reports of what's going to be happening with the algal bloom on top of it, in Lake Erie and things like that. So the thing with something like these particular environmental issues is that a lot of times it's like, well, just go dump a bunch of chemicals or something like that in it. And, if you think about your fish tank, if it starts to get green with algae, you're just going to dump a bunch of chemicals in there. Well, you can't do that on a mass scale level. You got to think farther up the chain. So what are changes that can be done farther up the chain with more sustainable cropping? Like doing monocropping and things of that nature is extremely detrimental, to the environment. And then you look at, you got to think about like our meat industry as well, because that's a huge source of a lot of these like highly nutrient dense runoffs and things of that nature.
Yeah, I've heard a little bit about that, of like pig shit farms where it's just like mountains of all this. Yeah, and it's a hazardous material. And that's nuts. Like that, I had no idea that was a thing, but you can't actually transport that material across state lines in some places. No,
like a lot of with like what you're mentioning is these ponds of just like fecal matter and stuff, and they have to push it over to like on the side where no one can get to it. The problem is you still have the like fumes and methane and stuff like that that's coming out of it, and then you get a wind and that blows down and it hits these cities. And there's studies that are coming out now with just kids and adults with a lot of like health defects because of just all this like just toxic like sewage fumes that are getting blown in their city. And it's a huge issue, but not a lot of people are talking about it, because a lot of people just don't know about it.
Yeah, and it's not widespread enough for people to start talking about it like we talk about COVID.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's still like very critical to our future as human beings.